So we were at this notice here. Let me pull it up in the English. Note, the author says, if the person performing wudu after washing the entire face, or the one performing ghusl after making his intention, inserted his hands in water that's less than 2 qullets, and took a scoop, if he intended scooping, this does not harm. Sorry about that. Bismillah. So let me start again here. We left off at this note here. Tambih, that's the Arabic word. This is a note because it's a detail. Here, the author wants to give us a detailed case. So it's like a digression. Meaning, if you observe his style here, what he's doing, he is listing for you, saying this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. He's giving you brief statements in listed form, generally. But here he wants to pause to give you a detailed case. It's not few sentences in a list form. So this is a mas'ala, what they call mas'ala, a case. So you want to pay attention to the parameters of the case so that you understand the answer. So he says, note, if the person performing wudu after washing the entire face, or the one performing ghusl after making his intention, inserted his hands in water less than 2 qullets and took a scoop, or he intended scooping, if he intended scooping, this does not harm. You can even say, this does no harm. If he intended scooping, this does no harm. Yani, to the purifying power of the water. This does no harm. This is harmless. In reference to what? In reference to the purifying power of the water. If he did not intend scooping, then the rest of the water became used. What makes water used water? First of all, know that there's two measurements of water in the Shafi'i school. According to the Shafi'i school, there's two measurements of water, a lot and a little. Here's a rule for you. A lot of water will never be judged as used. A lot of water is never regarded as used water. Easy example for you. Do you conceive that the ocean would become used in the way that it's not usable anymore? And you wouldn't conceive that easily. Or, now go smaller. A lake. A lake has boats in there. Also, this one, no, it's not going to become used. People keep making wudu from there. Then you can go smaller until you get to the minimum amount of a lot of water. There's a rule. A lot of water does not become used. Ever. Being used is not applicable to a lot of water. Okay. So then it means here we are talking about a little bit of water, for sure. Less than 2 qullets. He says, if the person performing wudu after washing the entire face, or the one performing the ghusl after making his intention. So let's just leave out the ghusl part for now. If the person performing wudu after washing the entire face inserted his hands in water less than 2 qullas and took a scoop, what's the judgment of the water that's still in the container? Is it used or is not used? Now, Make sure you understand the meaning of the question before we say what the answer is. Yani, what's the point of the question? Why are you asking this question? Because I just washed my face, one would say, and I know the next organ is my hands. That's the next obligatory one. And this is a little bit of water here. So, uh, when I put my hands into this water and pull it back out, and it's only a little bit, did I just actually use that water and make it unusable according to religious definition? One might say. Because what I remember is when you put the water on your organ and then it comes off of your organ, then it's used. And the reverse is if you put your organ into a little bit of water with an intention and then come out of it, then it's used. That's really the same thing. Either the water drops off of you or you come out of the water. Either way, we're talking about a little bit of water. So one would say the reason I'm asking this question is because what we learned is when I put that little bit of water on my arm, for example, or my face, then when it comes off of my face, it's used. Or if there were a little bit of water and I put my face into it with an intention and then pulled my face out of it, then it's used. So now I just washed my face. And the next organ is my hands. The next obligatory organ is my hands and my arms. And I want to scoop the water, but it's actually, I'm going to scoop with my hands. So, when I scoop this water with my hands, and it's the time for washing my hands, and it's only a little bit of water, does that make the water used when I pull my hand out of the water? So now the question is clear, inshallah. So what's the answer? The author tells us here. He says, if he intended scooping, this does no harm. If he did not intend scooping, the rest of the water became used. Now, when we say if he intended scooping, that doesn't mean he has to say consciously, like how you intend wudu. You say in yourself, now I make wudu. When we say he intended scooping, does not mean he is saying, now I intend to scoop. No, not this consciously. Rather, it means that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to scoop the water. He didn't want to wash his arm. He wanted to scoop the water. So then that's what was his intention. Then this does no harm to that little bit of water. And he can keep scooping out of there. So here the author, he mentioned the one who took a ghusl. Same rule. Here he says, if the person performing the ghusl after making his intention inserted his hands in less than 2 kullas and took a scoop. And what's the judgment of this little bit of water when his hand comes out of the water? Same answer. If he intended scooping, this is harmless. But if he did not intend scooping, then the rest of the water became used when he pulled his hands out of it. Let me know if that's not clear for you or if you have a question. Okay. Let us build on this case here. This is the light summary, and the author wants it to be easy. It is easy, but look here, he just put a nice case here. This case requires some thinking. Yani, this case, could you call it's a speed bump. It's a speed bump. You're cruising, going through the light summary. Let's say moderately swift speed, because easy. Then he put a case there that made you have to slow down so you can, don't wreck yourself. Okay, now that we came to this bump here, this pause, let's delve. So here's the rule. It's the same rule. I'm repeating myself, that is. The same rule, just you can look at it in two different angles. Either the water comes off of you or you come out of the water. In both cases, though, it's a little bit of water. So when we say either the water comes off of you or you come out of the water, then this means that sometimes you pour the water over yourself, and sometimes you immerse yourself in the water. Okay, so it's valid, no problem. What's the case I want to get to for you? You have a tub of a little bit of water, and you want to do a ghusl in this tub. Now, assuming you don't have any najasa on yourself, you just need a ghusl. If you sat down in this tub of a little bit of water, let's say when you do so, it only covers your lower half. Your bottom half is still sticking up. Now, if you make an intention for a ghusl we're talking about, is this valid? The answer is yes. Then, what is purified here? The answer is only your lower part, because the upper part didn't get into the water. Now, can you, let's say, slide down, you make your feet come out, and then your lower half gets under the water. Now you have your feet out of the water, and your head and your torso, your shoulders, everything, chest, stomach, all under the water. Is this valid? The answer is yes, that's valid. Now you have completed your ghusl. Now maybe you have a next question. Is the water used or it's not used? So the answer is, as long as you're still in it, then it's not used for you. But anyone who comes and wants to take it while you're in it, or afterwards, khalas, it's used for him. Even though you're still in that water and it's not used for you, it doesn't have the judgment of being used for you, it now has the judgment of being used for someone else, even if you're still in it. And when you step out of it, now it's used for you and someone else. Is this clear? Okay. And while we're here, dripping is not a condition for validity of purification. Maybe we mentioned that already. The condition is that the water flows naturally. Wiping is not enough for something that has to be washed. So, Yani, what's the meaning of what I am putting together for you? You have something called wiping. That's not valid. Like just to take your wet hand and wipe it over your face. Okay. But you have something called washing. Washing is valid even if it doesn't result in any dripping. So that's going to be more than washing, but washing doesn't mean that dripping has to happen. So I'm saying that for you to understand the difference between mere wiping and what maybe looks like wiping, but really it's a valid washing. If that's not clear, let me know. Okay. The author says, section, a small amount of water or any other type of liquid becomes filthy by filth falling into it. Becomes filthy by filth falling into it, whether it changed the water or not. Okay. So we already established. In the Shafi'i school, you have a lot of water and a little bit of water. Don't assume that these cases are going across the madhabs, because they are not. The Malikis don't look at a lot of water or a little bit of water. The Malikis merely look at if the water changed. They look at changed water or unchanged water. The Shafi'is, they look at changed water and unchanged water and a lot of water and a little bit of water. So a small amount of water or any other type of liquid becomes filthy by filth falling into it, whether it changed the water or not. Okay. What's a small amount of water? Less than 2 kullats. Or any other type of liquid. Here, what does it say in the Arabic? أو غيره من المائعات. Uh, what this is supposed to mean when it says, or any other type of liquid, not a small amount of any other type of liquid. This means even a lot of another type of liquid. A small amount of water has a judgment. It becomes filthy by filth falling into it, whether it changed or not. Any other type of liquid has the same judgment, even if it's a lot. Being a little bit is not a condition for another kind of liquid. Did you hear the story of that man? His business is olive oil. He had a vat of olive oil. That means a lot, a big quantity. A mouse fell into his vat and died. Then what's the judgment? It's not going to change the olive oil. Yani, he could just take it out of the olive oil. No one will know. What's the judgment of this olive oil here? It's all najasa. All of it's filthy. Even if it's more than 2 kullats, because it's not water. So what did he do? He took it out. Yani, I don't know if he took it out. He got rid of his olive oil. He feared Allah. He didn't say no one's going to know. No, he knew he's going to have haram money now. Yani, or committing haram rather. Yeah, it's haram for him. Selling najasa is invalid. So he's going to know for himself that he has haram money. And it's haram for him to do so. To sell the item without stating its defect. While you know about the defect. So he got rid of the olive oil. And Allah blessed him. I don't know what Allah made him rich or what, but Allah blessed him for that. So a small amount of water or any other type of liquid, yani, or any, I'm going to say here, any amount of any other, we don't need type of here, any other liquid. A small amount of water or any amount of any other liquid becomes filthy by filth falling into it, whether it changed the water or not, or the liquid. So then, therefore, the rule is any amount of a liquid other than water has the judgment of a small amount of water. Any amount of a liquid other than water has the judgment of a small amount of water. What is the judgment of a small amount of water? It becomes filthy by contact with unexcused filth. even if it does not change. Here, the author, he didn't say unexcused, but that's the case. If he wanted to be more meticulous, he would have said unexcused filth. But he's being easy for you. Even some people, they like this. Yani, they prefer like this, easy, smooth. And some people, they like the other way, very meticulous. Becomes filthy by filth, meaning unexcused filth falling into it. When he said falling into it, then he was not talking about the water falling over the filth. Yani, this sentence has a lot of information in it. I meant to mention that for you right before we started. This small sentence, a small amount of water or any amount of any other liquid becomes filthy by filth falling into it, whether it changed the water or not. So a small amount of water versus a large amount of water, or any amount of another liquid. Why? What's the difference? Why does another liquid not have the same judgment as water? Yani, it only has the judgment of a small amount of water. Because water is the liquid that has purifying power. And because a large amount of water destroys najasa. Yani, it breaks it up. The najasa will dissipate. And it isolates the najasa also, if it doesn't. If the najasa doesn't dissipate, a large amount of water will isolate it. The liquids other than water don't have this power. Yani, they don't have this regard. We don't regard them in this way. So any liquid other than water has the judgment of a small amount of water. Therefore, you had some oil that you were using to cook, or some olive oil, for example, that you eat, and you came back and you found there, you wanted to use it again, and you found there a gnat, a fly, or some other creature. Some other vermin in there died in there. Even a roach. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Can you use that? You can. As long as it didn't change. Because it's like a small amount of water. If a roach or a fly or something like that fell into the water and died in a small amount of water and did not change the water, then it does not contaminate the water. So likewise then, if it fell into another type of liquid, any amount of another liquid, if it didn't change that liquid, then that liquid is still pure. So a small amount of water or any amount of any other liquid becomes filthy by filth, meaning by unexcused filth, falling into it as opposed to coming over it, being poured over it, or falling atop it. Because there's a difference. Najasa getting into the water makes the water filthy. Unexcused, that is. Small amount of water. Unexcused najasa, small amount of water. Makes the water filthy. But pouring water over the najasa doesn't necessarily make the water filthy. If you pour the water over the najasa, we talk about a small amount of water. If you pour it over the najasa, it has a potential to stay pure. Will not necessarily become filthy. If the filth falls into the water, it becomes filthy, period, unless it's excused filth. But if the water falls over the unexcused najasa, it still might, the runoff still might be pure. Doesn't have to be filthy. How's that? Well, you look at the spot that you want to pour the water on. Yani, you pour the water on the spot, and then you see, is the najasa still there? If so, then the water that flowed off of it is najasa, because it's a little bit. Is the najasa gone? Let's say it is. Then look some more. Did the water change? The runoff water, did it change? If the answer is no, then it's still pure, but it's used. Or another question, did the water get heavier? Bismillah. If you pour a small amount of water over najasa, then there's another question you can ask yourself. Did it get heavier? Yani, did it change? Let's say it didn't change. Did it get heavier? If the answer is yes, then this water is filthy. Let me back up for you here. We're talking about pouring water over a spot of filth. And how to judge the runoff water. Pouring a little bit of water over a spot of filth, how to judge the runoff water. So here are your steps. You pour the water on the spot. Look at the spot. Is the najasa still there? Yes? Then the water is filthy. Even if it didn't change. Because it's a little bit. Okay. You poured another time. Look, is the najasa still there? No? Okay, then ask yourself a question. Now, this runoff water, did it change? Yes? Then the water is filthy. But what if the answer is no? Then you can still ask yourself another question. Did it get heavier? Yes? If so, then the water is najasa, filthy. Now you might want to ask, how do you know if the water got heavier? You might know. Like, let's say, for example, you had 10 ounces of water. You knew its weight. You had 10 ounces of water. And then you poured these 10 ounces of water over some najasa. I think that's a small amount of water. If I'm wrong, then imagine that something is a small amount of water. You have some amount of water, small amount of water, you know its weight. Then you pour it over the najasa. And after considering the water that gets absorbed by the surface, and after considering any debris that the water picks up, then let's say that runoff water, you collected it into another container and you knew its weight. So it was 10 ounces. You started with 10 ounces. I'm imagining that's a small amount of water. Then, let's say after you considered how much water the surface would absorb and the debris that would get picked up by the water, let's say your water is 8.5 ounces. And by this, you knew that the water got heavier. You started with 10, you poured some, something gets absorbed, something gets picked up, and you collected some, you lost some, and what you have is 8.5 ounces. So you might say, this water got heavier. It didn't change, but it got heavier, because it shouldn't be this heavy. After I consider what the surface absorbed and any debris that got picked up, it shouldn't, and yani, whatever didn't get back into this container here, it shouldn't be this heavy, so it got heavier. Therefore, this water is najasa. Is this clear? Then he said whether it changed the water or not, whether that filth changed, yani, altered the water or not. Yani, the Shafi'i school is that water, small amounts of water becomes filthy even without changing. They arrived at that by putting the hadiths together. Another time we'll see those hadiths, inshallah. Yani, not from one hadith, from merging hadiths. When they merged the hadiths, then they came to an answer. They said, therefore, by merging these hadiths, we know that a large amount of water does not become filthy unless it changes, and a small amount of water becomes filthy even if it does not change. That's it's like a math problem they figured out. I think we should stop there. MashaAllah. Wallahu a'lam. Do you have any questions? Okay. Alhamdulillah. Yani, if anything I said is not clear, feel free. If I was talking too fast, if I was using any words you want to ask about, or etc., feel free, please. Don't forget, two types of people don't learn: the shy one and the arrogant one. The shy one is too scared to ask, so he won't learn. The arrogant one is too proud, so he won't learn.